We'll next turn to the ranking member of the full committee, Senator Murray.
Thank you very much, Chair Murkowski, Ranking Member Merkley. I look forward to working with both of you this year. Administrator Zeldin, you helm an agency that was created by a Republican president that is responsible for making sure that Americans can drink clean water and breathe clean air and lead healthy lives. It seems to me the Trump administration's entire vision for your agency amounts to burn it down. Now, burning down the EPA might be a great way to generate smog, but it is a terrible way to protect families' health. Look at the $25 billion in federal funding you have been illegally freezing and canceling in my state and across the country. We are talking about investments in things like heat pumps to reduce energy costs and pollution, wildfire preparedness to prevent smoke exposure, or infrastructure upgrades to protect drinking water from floods and earthquakes. Blocking this funding is hurting communities everywhere. It has prompted lawsuits as well as investigations by the Government Accountability Office. And I have to say to you, it is unacceptable to hear from GOA that your agency has not been cooperating with those requests from them. And now the President's request would slash funding for your agency by over 50%, taking it back to levels last seen 50 years ago, by the way. And I should note, protecting the health and well-being of the American public does not happen on its own. The EPA is powered by skilled and dedicated public servants, a group you have worked to demonize for months on end. Now, while you proudly gut your own agency's workforce, you leave hardworking Americans who are suffering the consequences. Your job is to make sure kids have clean water when they turn on the tap, fresh air when they go outside. Your job is to make sure that our rivers in Washington State are full of salmon, not toxic sludge. And your job is to follow the law and to get the funds out that Congress passed. For the past 2 years, this committee has passed bipartisan spending bills to invest in the EPA and into our communities. And despite the draconian budget that you have put forward, I'm going to be pushing to work with this committee on a bipartisan agreement once again that safeguards our health and our environment. Now, Administrator Zeldin, at the same time you propose cutting the EPA's budget by 54% and slashing staff by over 20% and gutting many of EPA's core programs, you insist that despite these cuts, the EPA can carry out the congressional directives of the bill we passed with bipartisan support through this committee without compromising the EPA's responsibilities. There is no way that can be true. Do you understand, Administrator, that your job is to execute the bipartisan laws negotiated in this committee and in Congress and carry them out faithfully, not to gut the programs that Congress passed into law?
Of course. We will fulfill all statutory obligations, and I would encourage you to read the announcement that we put out the morning of the President's 100th day that has 100 environmental wins from the first 100 days of the Trump presidency. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to read it yet, but based
well,
off
I
of
have
the way
had an opportunity to see your budget. And when you eliminate offices and slash staffing and propose cutting the budget in half of EPA, you are making certain that the government will not be able to protect the public from pollution. That is not what Congress intended. Now, the federal government has given states significant responsibility to implement our bedrock environmental laws, like enforcement of the Clean Water Act and the Safe Drinking Water Act. EPA provides basic funding, categorical grants, to every single state so they can carry out more than 90% of the on-the-ground work that is necessary to comply with environmental laws. Your budget cuts 16 of 19 categorical grant programs, which the Environmental Council of the States, it's a bipartisan organization of environmental agency directors from all 50 states, says will, quote, incapacitate state environmental programs. That's from them, not from me. We are talking about massive cuts, $843 million for Texas, $459 million for Florida, $169 million for Louisiana. It's hard to see this as anything other than the EPA abandoning its responsibility to states. And I wanted to ask you, have you consulted with any of the states on this proposal to eliminate almost all the categorical grant funding?
Every aspect of this skinny budget was done deliberately as a result of a lot of conversation, a lot of thoughtful conversation.
With the states?
States are absolutely included as it relates to conversations that take place about our priorities.
Well, I will say my state and many of the states said this would be devastating, and states cannot shoulder this burden, and I look forward to working with this committee to, as we've done before, in a bipartisan way, make sure that we fund these programs. Finally, your agency has been cutting billions of dollars in grants indiscriminately, irrationally across the country, including in my home state of Washington. And I want to give you an example. Wildfire and extreme heat waves, they are major threats to public health for a lot of the country. A few weeks ago, the EPA terminated a grant that would have made sure community centers in Spokane had the infrastructure needed to serve as a refuge during extreme weather and wildfire emergencies. There was no explanation for that cancellation. That is a community that saw 19 people die and over 300 people hospitalized during a heat wave a few short years ago, where wildfires are a constant threat. So let me ask you, is it woke to protect people from wildfires and heat stroke?
I don't know if you're going to get anyone in America to answer yes to the way you put that question out there.
Well, is it inefficient? Is it wasteful? Why was this grant eliminated?
Well, there are hundreds of grants. I would have to have that individual grant in front of me. One of the, when Congress sets an appropriated level on a particular type of grant, we need to make sure that over the course of the fiscal year, that money is
well,
being
apparently
spent,
after
that we're
4
working with
months,
Congress.
you decided that this community in Spokane didn't need to deal with their extreme weather and wildfire emergencies. I don't know whether you won't tell me whether it's inefficient, wasteful, whatever your word is, but you need to know that you're abandoning communities in my state and across the country, and that funding was appropriated for work exactly like this. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.